Hi, it's Donna from redcarpetlearning.com, and it's time for another Q&A with Donna. And this is part two of a two-part series on how do we boost morale? How do we reduce stress? How do we alleviate some of that stress when our team is stretched too thin? And last time we really addressed the workload issues there. So in video number one, which I will link to below, and I really encourage you to look at that one because you could do all kinds of little things, but at the end of the day, you really have to address the thing that is causing all the stress and causing the burnout. So, but now I'm going to give you a few other tips. So, number one, and I want to give a shout out to Sydney Kokel with my friends at Talent Plus in Lincoln, Nebraska, because she actually added this to a LinkedIn post when I asked the question, and we are both on the same page, Sydney and I, because one of the top things you can do is to really develop your leaders, develop your leadership, manage people in management positions, and also supervisory positions, because oftentimes people are promoted into those positions because they do a great job, but they're not necessarily given the skills to be good leaders. And study after study after study has shown that that is often what is causing the stress, what is causing the burnout, is that people do not have, in many cases, effective leaders, especially at that supervisory level. And so developing your supervisors, putting time and resources into developing those people to be better leaders is one of the ways that you can start to alleviate burnout and boost morale. The second thing I want to share is to go back to something I've talked about before, which is listening. Giving people an opportunity to vent. Sometimes we're afraid to do that. We're afraid if we open the floodgates to all that venting, they are never going to stop. But I would encourage you to think about that differently, because what happens is if people are forced to work under certain conditions, but they aren't allowed to complain about it, they're not allowed to talk about it, they're not allowed to address it, and they're just supposed to keep that smile on their face all the time, it's either coming out in other ways and it's impacting your customers and their other coworkers, or at some point it's going to blow, right? And so actually giving people a time limit, a safe space, whether it's one-on-one or in a group, where they can actually talk about how frustrating it is and what some of the improvements are. So I do this thing with our customers that I call discovery, and basically I'm sitting with groups of their employees, and I usually will ask, what do you love about the culture of this organization, and where are there room for improvement? And in one of them that I was in very recently, I had the small group and it was very positive, but they definitely had some room for improvement. And at the end of the session, everybody got up and I heard one of the people say, "Oh, I feel so much better now." And all I didn't fix the problems, I just listened to them. And just that made her feel better. It was like, even the way she said it was like, that was a load off. Like I got to express my feelings. And so giving people that opportunity to do that without correcting them or reprimanding them or just like telling them to stay positive is, I think just that is a gift in and of itself. And as I saw demonstrated in that one woman, can really, again, reduce some of the stress just by being able to share and talk about it. The third thing is then once you've had that, then of course you want to turn back to the positive. So sort of helping people look for the positive. So my friend Rolinda Stotts, she is a renowned artist. Russell Crowe actually owns 3 of her paintings and she's amazing. And she starts every conversation with me by asking the question, "So what's your celebration?" And she's just that enthusiastic too. "What's your celebration?" And it's been such a great way for me, even in times where I've had challenging times and not really been, I've had my own stress, right? So even in stressful times, it's been so great to sort of refocus and talk about what's going right as opposed to what's going wrong. So yes, give them their chance to vent, put a time limit on it. And then, okay, what's going right? Where is our celebration? And that's a great way, I think, to start the day or end the day. What's your celebration from today or from yesterday? What are you looking forward to going into today? Like, what is the moment at work where that you can hold on to that makes you happy and lighter and all of those things? Fourth, double down on true appreciation. That's my wall clock, by the way, that you might be hearing. Double down on true appreciation, like what really makes people feel valued. It's not the pizza parties, it's not all of those things. It's the thank you. It's the being seen. That's what everybody wants. See me, see how hard I'm working, and at least notice it. Say thank you. Point out something I am doing right. These are also messages that I am hearing in these groups that I conduct, the discovery groups. Be careful. Lastly, be careful about the way things are worded. So yes, you will also want to have a culture of accountability. That's important. We're going to talk more about that in the next Q&A with Donna. But being really careful that as we are sending texts or sending emails or having meetings or talking to people, that we're very intentional about how we want that message to be received. So even if it's a corrective message, does it sound like an uplifting, helpful feedback, or does it sound like a threat? Does it sound like a punishment? And sometimes we as leaders get so stressed out and so burnt out ourselves that we just go to our default language and our default communication, and then that can just add to the stress. So being really, really careful about the way you say things and being more intentional with your language, your tone, and focus on uplifting people, lifting people up instead of bringing them down. All right, I'll see you next time for Q&A with Donna.